Girl. 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 Girl.
Dude.
This is awesome.
The best meal I have ever had was in the middle of nowhere in Blue Earth, Minnesota at a country kitchen restaurant. And if that sounds random, it is. I realize that. But let me tell you the story of how this came to be. So I was 13 years old, and my mom and dad and I had just spent the week in Rochester, Minnesota. Now, I'm from a tiny town in South Dakota. And we spent the week in Rochester, Minnesota because we went to the Mayo Clinic. And I had been sent there by my pediatrician because we had found my leg was swelling, and I found out that I had a condition called lymphedema, and it's basically where your lymph nodes don't work properly, and my leg was swelling all the time. And so I was sent to the Mayo Clinic. We were getting all kinds of testing and all that figured out at the time. And growing up, we did not have a lot of money. And so because of this, we stayed at the cheapest motel we could find called the Friendship Inn. And we chose this motel because not only was it cheap, but it also had a free continental breakfast, which consisted of stale pastries and little yogurt cups. Ooh, that sun is coming in. Then for lunches and dinners, my mom had gone to the grocery store there in Rochester, and she bought some Wonder Bread and some chopped ham and peanut butter and jelly. And so that was our sustenance for the week, was stale pastries and sandwiches. And so by the end of the week, when we were finally done with all the testing, I got poked and prodded and put through MRIs and all that kinds of stuff. We were on our way home, and I honestly could not wait to get home. My mom is an amazing cook, and I loved pretty much every meal she's ever made. But on the way home, we got to stop at a restaurant, and that restaurant happened to be the Country Kitchen in Blue Earth, Minnesota. And I saw the big sign on the freeway, and I said, "Mom, that's the one. Let's go there. That looks good." And so we stopped at Country Kitchen. I ordered spaghetti and meatballs and breaded mushrooms. And I cannot tell you the ecstasy of that moment of a hot meal that was not peanut butter and jelly or chopped ham or stale pastries. It tasted so, so good. And to be honest with you, that meal tasted 100 times better than it really should have. Looking back, that meal, I would probably never order that meal now. If you had that meal right now, you'd probably be like, "This is the best meal you've ever had? Are you sure?" That meal tasted so good because I was so hungry. Now, I'm going to relate this to something that maybe you haven't really thought about yet. But a lot of you are doing this in your relationships. You are settling for attention when you want intimacy. You have wanted to be known and understood, but you settled for compliments instead. You took a warm body when really what you needed to do was recognize your own value. You needed to work on you, your own standards, your own identity, but instead you settled for the scraps of somebody who said that they loved you. Now, if this hits, I'm sorry, because that is not a fun place to be. And I know what that feels like. And I know how awful it feels to not feel that love, to not feel like you're being chosen, to not feel like to feel like there's no intimacy in a relationship, to feel like no one really knows you for who you are. And I want to tell you something that has changed my life and helped me. And you've probably heard thousands of people say it before. You've probably heard other people on YouTube and Instagram say the same thing, but I am being very genuine when I'm telling you this. I had to learn how to accept myself, how to really love myself, how to take care of myself. One day I realized, even in the best of relationships, I am the only person that I am going to be with for my entire life. Think about that for a second. You've heard the phrase, like, no matter where you go, there you are. It is really hard to be in a healthy relationship when you are not loving yourself. And oftentimes we are expecting other people to fill a void that they just can't fill. Maybe they are inadequate to do it. Or honestly, maybe it's just a void that we have to heal. Maybe it's a piece of us that only God can really feel. When you are full of love, when you are confident in yourself, when your standards increase, your identity increases. When your standards increase, the way that you see yourself completely changes. When your standards increase and you say, I am not going to settle for this anymore, automatically in a moment, there is a change that takes place. Now, I know probably some of you have said that and then actually following through with it on a regular basis and maintaining that standard is a whole nother story, but that's probably another video for another day. But let me just say, when you are confident and you know who you are and you are strong in your identity, you don't beg, you don't chase, you don't settle, you don't shrink yourself, okay? We don't do any of those things. That is one of the quickest ways for us to lose respect for ourselves, and in turn, that happens in the relationship. And I don't want you to do that. I've walked through a lot of pain and healed myself in a lot of places, and there's parts of me that are still healing, to be honest with you. But now what I do is I help women just like you and me on their habits, their identity, their standards, so that you never settle again. Because now when I think about it, I would never go back to that country kitchen and order that meal. I really wouldn't. Like, it would not be the same. I know that it was so good in the time because I was so hungry. I don't want you to be hungry for love anymore. I want you to be full. I want you to be full in your soul and joyful. And I really believe that when that happens, any relationship that you walk into is 100 times better when you're already full of love. So if this video resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I love to connect with you. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and I appreciate you being here.